Welcome to First Garden, New Gardener. I'm Joy Baird. We're in our onion and leek bed here where I spent a good amount of time weeding it to see what we had. The weeds got very overwhelming, so we had to get in here and weed. And we found that we had a very light stand of onions and we had a moderate stand of leeks here. So sometimes as a gardener, whether experienced or beginner, you have to make the decision. I've got a full bed here that could be consolidated to a half a bed so I can utilize the other portion of the bed. So here's what we're going to do. As you can see here, we've got very few onions started here or growing here, and I've got about 15 leeks on this end. So what I'm going to do is very gently extract the leeks, make sure I get as much of a root ball and soil in that root ball as possible, bring them down here and space them adequately. And then once I've got that done, that'll leave me with about a 4.5, 5 foot by 4 foot, 16 to 20 square foot over here that we're going to drop some sweet corn in and let it start growing. We should be able to get, at least a dozen to 20 plants in. So that's what we're going to do. And that way I'm not wasting virtually a half a bed here, and I can utilize as much space as I potentially can. So we're just going to get the trawl here. And now the reason why some of these are leaning over, now before I weeded them, they were all standing up. And I think what happened was, there's a couple factors that came into this. One, they were kind of in the shade with all the weeds, and two, as I weeded them, I disturbed the soil around the roots and they kind of got a little shocked. But they're nothing to be concerned with. Leeks are a very hardy plant, and you don't want to do this just with any vegetable like a watermelon or a tomato or a lettuce plant. Leeks and onions are kind of a unique type of vegetable that are very, very durable, and you can move them around if it's necessary, but you don't want to if you have to, but we're going to because we want to utilize this bed. So we'll just make sure we're far enough away from the roots, and you can see what I'm talking about. All of those are roots, so I wanted to make sure, and we just had rain here about 2 days ago, so everything's very moist. So those roots, I got a really big root ball here, and I'm just going to dig a hole and plop that back in there. And what I will do, actually, I will help the plant out. I'll mound a little soil around it there. So I'm going to move all of those down here, and then we'll start prepping the upper portion of the bed here for some sweet corn. Okay, so I got one more here. I figured and found out that using the garden fork will help extract these just a little easier based on the looseness of the soil here. Now, one thing you can do if you do move these around is, on a leek, you only eat the bottom portion that's bleached, that's white. So what we can do is plant them a little deeper to get more bleaching of that bottom stalk. So it's not a total crazy decision to go about this way. And then I've got these here. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. I'm just going to leave this corner here because it makes no sense to move them 2 foot this way. I can just plant the corn a little more. Well, I can put a block here, and then I can add a few more plants over here. But before we plant the corn, we want to prep the bed here. And by doing that, I'm going to incorporate some coffee grounds that we got from a local coffee shop. You can find a coffee shop near you. Most of them are very, very happy to accept giving away free used coffee grounds. Most of them will just ask you to provide a bucket to put them in. They'll call you when they're done. So first of all, soil, nice and moist, nice and loose. Very good soil here. Now, this will do two things, the coffee grounds. By incorporating them in the soil, it will encourage worms to come and eat them and create worm castings, as well as it will release nitrogen into the soil, which sweet corn is an extremely heavy feeder of nitrogen. With the bed next to this bed here, we had lettuce, and now we've got corn growing inside the lettuce, so we incorporated 2 crops in one there. And when the lettuce goes to seed, we can harvest the seed from the lettuce, cut the lettuce down, and then the corn will already be established in that bed. So I'm going to go ahead and shovel a good amount in here. Don't be shy about it. It is an organic material that will only help the sweet corn. Now, you want to be cautious that you don't put like 400 pounds of coffee grounds in here, because the corn, or if you're doing this around other plants, which is very recommendable, that you don't put too much. You just put a little bit, because the plant will focus all of its energy on pulling the nitrogen out of the soil and putting a big green bush on, but not producing any vegetables or fruits. So I do want to give a couple of shovelfuls here. Then we will take our garden fork and work this into the soil. Just like that. Now I'm also going to add some certified leaf compost from compost.com. There's a nice big earthworm there. All right, we're gonna add a little of this black gold here. There we go. I'm not gonna work that in the soil too much. I'm just going to top dress it, and then as it rains, it will filter itself down into the root zone. So we want to do corn in a block, which means 4 by 4, 5 by 5, 4 rows consistently, so the tassels can pollinate the ears, and you can get a better opportunity of having a full solid ear of corn. So there's two ways of marking the rows. One, I can just use my triangular hole and create a row like that, or if you have a trowel or whatever, you can just take and make a row like that, and it works really well. So that's one. I'm going to go approximately 1 foot and put another one there. And we've got these leeks here, so I'm just going to go up a little bit and put a row there. Now, you want to put the seed in about 1 inch or so, about 3/4 inch to 1 1/4 inches. Now you can pre-soak your seeds overnight, or you can put them directly in the ground. It makes no difference. We're going to use some heirloom sweet corn that we saved from last year, some Stonewell Evergreen sweet corn. Now planting this, I'm going to go about every 8 inches is the spacing that I will have. Okay, so I got it planted. I got a good number here, 2, 4, 6, 7, 16, about 22 plants in this area. Now, you saw in some places where I put 2 kernels down. If you're saving your sweet corn from year to year and you have a kernel that's very, very tiny and it doesn't look good, go ahead and throw 2 kernels in that area. If both of them come up, then you can just cut one off. You can cut the weaker one off and go ahead and do it that way. So now I'm just going to take and just cover them up, and then in about 14 days we should see some sweet corn emerging here. And this is a good way of taking a bed that was literally half being used, consolidating what was being used. And in this application, leeks and onions, you want to be very cautious about if you do this with other items, root vegetables such like beets or radishes. This is not going to work, or carrots. But for this particular application, it works very well. And we can also utilize another portion of the bed to get more sweet corn, something we enjoy eating here at the garden and being an heirloom variety. Thanks for watching. I'm Joy Baird, and this has been First Garden, New Gardener.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.